Mitari, one of Sensui's 7 psychics. Oof, the alliteration on that one. One of Sensui's 7 psychics that helped kick off the Mad Lad's plan in the Chapter Black arc of Yu Yu Hakusho. This might be the result of spending too much time in that Facebook group that we covered not too long ago, but while working on the script for the top 10 worst abilities in Yu Yu Hakusho, I found myself thinking of Mitari. And even weirder, I found myself thinking that Mitari could have single-handedly foiled Sensui's plan and very likely killed him in the process. Now, before I get roasted alive, let me go ahead and say that this line of thought is purely speculative, and it not only assumes the best possible circumstances for Mitari, but it also assumes that he would capitalize on those opportunities. I am by no means saying that Mitari could 1v1 Sensui at all. His hypothetical victory here hinges on him playing his cards very carefully. To set the stage, let's go ahead and do a speedrun recap of Mitari's abilities. As the Seaman, he can add his blood to a water source to create a creature. The amount of blood he adds to the water is directly correlated to the size of the creature as well as the power of the creature. However, as we saw, power isn't everything, as the smaller creatures that he creates tend to be much more agile. On top of their creation, from what we've been shown, these creatures seem to be indestructible by normal means. So I can only assume that you would need an overwhelming display of power to destroy one of them, or you would need to kill Mitari outright. There also doesn't appear to be an upper limit to the amount of creatures Mitari can create, at least not canonically. However, some natural limitations would be the amount of water in the vicinity, as well as how much blood Mitari himself is willing to shed. But what makes Seaman so formidable is when his creatures get large enough, they can envelop their victim, which traps them in an entirely separate dimension. You starting to see where I'm going with this? Whoa, outfit change, what's this? Well, I filmed the first portion of this when it was significantly warmer outside, and then procrastination set in. Now it is cold both outside and inside of my house. Well, before we hop back in, I want to give a big shout out to Very Tired Editor, the person that is handling this video, and I promise that is his name and not what I've done to him. But also I want to give a shout out to our latest patron, Ryan. I'm sure you're way classier than Ryan's Buffet. Do Ryan's restaurants still exist? Comment below and let me know if you've ever eaten at Ryan's, but also let me know if it killed you. Speaking of Patreon, from now to the end of the year, if you decide to join the Celestial tier, you will get 50% off your first month with code JUPITER. You'll get a special portrait for the credit scroll, but you'll also be able to request a specific video topic that'll get priority over my other scheduled content. So if you feel like supporting the channel, consider joining the Patreon community. And if you like content like the type featured on my channel, make sure you like and subscribe. Doing so helps the algorithm shed light on small channels like mine. And now back to our regularly scheduled content. Alright, so Mitari. We saw this happen with Kuwabara's friends and Kuwabara himself, who was met with physical resistance when he tried to force his way out. Now, there are 2 instances where Mitari could have plausibly hindered or outright defeated Sensui. I want to go ahead and re-emphasize the importance of the words could have, like the air quotes here are doing very heavy lifting. The first instance is when Mitari is waiting outside the concert venue for Kuwabara. There'd be no reason for him to attack Sensui here since he's still disillusioned with humanity based on what he'd seen on the Chapter Black tape. So instead, we're going to skip ahead to the end of the trek into Demon Store Cave, where Sensui and Itsuki are waiting for the team. There are 2 separate moments in this cave where had Mitari had his wits about him and effectively communicated the nature of his power to Kurama, there could have been a path to victory here. Admittedly though, the first instance is painfully brief. Right after Kuwabara is relocated from the boat by Itsuki's creature, the team does end up by that body of water, like relatively close to it. If Mitari had been forward thinking, this would have been a prime opportunity for him to disperse a decent amount of his blood into that body of water. However, Itsuki's creature does remove everyone except Yusuke from the battlefield quickly enough that there really wasn't much time for them to make a decisive move. Given just how short a window of time this was, I will give Mitari a pass here. The next time he has a solid shot at lending his power in the fight against Sensui is unfortunately after Yusuke dies. Though just like our air quotes from earlier, the word dies is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. When Kuwabara frees them from Itsuki's space, they very clearly land in water. This was another moment where Mitari could have dispersed enough blood in the water to get the jump on their enemy. The main reason why I think Mitari would have had a shot here is because of just how little Sensui thinks of this kid. Think about when Mitari switched teams. Sensui and Sniper were able to track him down because they had a plan in place based on the fact that he was considered the weakest link in the chain. To Sensui, Mitari posed no threat, even less so when measured against the fury of Team Urameshi in the wake of Yusuke's death. And having an enemy that thinks so little of you that they don't even acknowledge your existence in that moment does put you in a position where if you're smart enough, you can capitalize on it. Not to mention, most people's guard is at their absolute lowest when they're assured of their own victory. With all the craziness of the portal opening, demons coming through, and the rage of Yusuke's friends, there was likely an opportunity for Mitari to get the one-up on Sensui. I'm sure some of you will remind me that Sensui's power eclipses Mitari's, and that I did say earlier that it would take an overwhelming display of force to destroy one of these creatures. But that's assuming that the victim is trying to destroy this creature from the outside. Once you've been trapped by one of these creatures, you're essentially doomed. Not to mention, we genuinely don't know the upper limit to Mitari's power in terms of how many creatures he can summon, as well as their maximum size. We only saw him shed a relatively small amount of blood to create the creatures he did, and it makes you wonder what he'd be capable of if he had a more serious injury he could use to his advantage. And despite being as powerful as he was, not even Sensui could have busted out of Mitari's territory. Like, it literally took the story arc's MacGuffin for Kuwabara to get out before he and his friends drowned. And it goes without saying that if Sensui could cleave through dimensions the way the Jigen Toe can, then he wouldn't have needed Kuwabara in the first place. So I think it's safe to say that if Mitari had played his cards right, if he had been more active in the actual battle against Sensui, he could have at the very least tilted the scales in Team Urameshi's favor, if not outright ended the battle. However, this is just a fun exercise to explore the imaginative parts of our brain that are constantly like, okay, but what if? Again, I don't think Mitari could have just outright 1v1 Sensui. I think the circumstances need to be perfect for him to even survive. So that's kind of what this whole thing was. It wasn't me trying to be like, you need to believe that Mitari can 100% kill Sensui, because that's just probably not true. He's got maybe 15% chance, and that's if everything lines up, including the stars. I might do more of these if it's something you guys are interested in, so if there are any what-if scenarios you'd like to see me explore, let me know in the comments below. Another shout out to Ryan for joining the Patreon community, and a huge shout out to Celestial Tier backers, This One Sneck, Totally Reasonable Curb, and Trey Hardy. If you'd like to support the channel and take advantage of a 50% discount for your first month in the Celestial Tier, make sure you follow the links in the description and pinned comment below. Use discount code Jupiter, and you've got until the end of the year to do so. Also, not trying to be a little too inside baseball here, but if you're already in the Celestial Tier and you want to take advantage of this discount, you could always just cancel your subscription and resubscribe, you know, just trying to save money for the homies too. Remember to take care of yourselves and others. I will be back again for a Christmas video, and I'm going to be stocking up on videos to make 2025 a more productive year. So I'll see you guys in a bit.